Joined in the studio by Jon Sopel, co-presenter of The News Agents and The News Agents USA. And it's that last bit that's most interesting to me in this conversation. Anyway, Jon, anything happened in America over the weekend that we need to know about?
No, I don't think so. I think it was quiet. Nothing happened.
Particularly in Madison Square Garden?
Yeah. Was there a boxing contest?
I think there was. You could call it that.
So Madison Square Garden, New York, obviously, a state that is not really in play, but Donald Trump wanted to hold a rally in Madison Square Garden, not for any great strategic reason, but because he liked the idea of Donald Trump plays Madison Square Garden. And it was a sellout, and it got huge attention. But did it get the attention that Donald Trump wanted? Because his campaign has been very focused on a whole blitz of adverts. To use the courtroom metaphor, we're in the stage of closing arguments in this election campaign with just over a week to go. And the closing argument that the Trump campaign wants to make is about the economy, is about immigration, is about that Kamala Harris is tied to Joe Biden and that Trump will make you better off. That's it. Instead of which, on the roster of people speaking, there were some real crazies talking about wild stuff that was sort of pretty damaging. And there is a big clear-up operation today by the Trump campaign trying to clear up the mess that was left by a whole bunch of people who'd been approved as speakers for this event, insulting Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, insulting Latinos, just went on and on and on. It was like, how can we cause maximum offence in the minimum amount of time?
And some Democrats have been saying, haven't they, that this was that what this is a kind of primer for the racism and the lack of unity, the division that would characterise a Trump presidency if it came again.
Which is the sort of criticism that you would expect Democrats to make. What was striking was there a large number of Republicans who are saying, whoa, stop. So for example, the insults about Puerto Rico just being a floating island of garbage. There are 1.1 million Puerto Ricans who live in Florida. More significantly, there are apparently 300,000 or 400,000 who live in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the key swing state in this election. What is the point of insulting people? Now, this was some comedian who wasn't very funny. But all the headlines, I would imagine Trump will be furious because, one, Trump doesn't like anyone to be stealing headlines from him. And all the headlines were stolen by these people you'd never heard of who were speaking at Madison Square Garden. And two, they've gone even further than Trump goes with some of the stuff that they were saying. And, some of it was gratuitously offensive.
So it was an opportunity, or should have been an opportunity, to do a sort of Starmer-esque, careful, position yourself so that those who might not have decided for you yet will feel confident enough to do so. And instead, it became a kind of sort of, I saw one tweet comparing it to the Sheffield rally in 87, was it? But that's an insult to the Sheffield rally, isn't it, given what you've described?
Sheila, you are not really seriously comparing
I'm referencing someone else.
Keir Starmer to Donald Trump. There is nothing Starmer-esque about Donald Trump.
No, I know, but in terms of the aim.
For good and for ill, it should be said. Trump is hugely entertaining, is very funny, makes a lot of off-colour gags, keeps the audience massively entertained. That is something that Starmer maybe could learn to do. But on the other hand, he goes too far. He causes offence. He creates a lot of mess. And this rally, which was unnecessary, there were elements of the Sheffield rally and Neil Kinnock standing up and, "You're right," which is what he did at that famous rally. Because you and I are so old that we can remember all these things.
Oi.
I'm old enough. The thing that always nags at the back of my mind is with Trump, outrage. Everyone goes, oh, this time he's gone too far. They're going to be in serious trouble. And you realise he hasn't caused any damage, that people love it. They love him even more for the kind of the rough and tumble that goes along with it.
But that small group of voters that both sides, and we'll come on to the Dems in a minute, are battling for, might some of them who were still giving both sides a hearing have thought, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
the worry, isn't it?
The worry has always been. And the reason that Trump lost in 2020 was that people just wanted to turn down the noise. They're sick of the fights, the scraps, the tweets, all the rest of it. And they just wanted...
And along came Grandpa.
And along came Grandpa, who just seemed the perfect antidote to Trump. The danger is that you push those people and you look at the groups where this election will be decided, white college-educated women, the suburbs, I could go on, the different demographics and actually trying to peel back more support among the Latino population, black population. Women. Does any of this help Donald Trump in the final stages where, say you have got everyone locked at sort of 47%, Harris and Trump at 47%. How does that help him get to 48% or 49%? And that's my big question over what happened yesterday at Madison Square Garden.
Well, let's talk about the Democrats as well and I thought, brilliant speech by Michelle Obama, because she is such a great speaker, isn't it? Both in terms of the style and the content that she was trying to deliver as well. It's clear that what they're doing at this stage is going for the section of voters that they know they have strength in and mobilising them all, as many as possible.
Completely. I read a great tweet last night saying, Barack Obama is probably one of the finest orators that we have seen this century.
And his wife's better.
And he's not even the best speaker in his own family.
Exactly.
Because Michelle Obama absolutely nails this kind of very hard-hitting section on women's reproductive rights and how it affects women, how it affects the men, how it affects everybody.
And she was graphic, really,
and she was really graphic in a way that I think, America doesn't tend to do because it doesn't tend to like to talk about these things.
And if you're going to go graphic, it needs to be a woman doing it, I
Exactly.
think. Yeah.
And I think that is absolutely part, so you've got Trump's strategy and then what happens in Trump rallies. I think there is much greater focus in the Harris campaign that the messaging should be consistent. And you can be absolutely sure that what Michelle Obama said very, very powerfully was absolutely part of the messaging, which is to maximise the support. You're not going to win over. Stop trying to win over Trump supporters. They're gone. But it's that cohort of people, the women, the undecided, the liberal Republicans or independents who are kind of still wavering, win those people over. And that is the core strategy of the Harris campaign now in this final week.
Is it possible to say how important or not celebrity endorsements are? Because now it's just a wash with celebrity endorsements, isn't it?
Well, I think that a certain amount of celebrity endorsements you kind of are baked into the share price. So, Beyonce coming out and doing a concert or Bruce Springsteen doing a concert, both of whom are fabulous recording artists. But, will they make a difference? I do think that Taylor Swift coming out when she did and saying register to vote and 450,000 young people register to vote off the back of her call.
That's power.
That's power. And, she's got a huge, vast social media following. Yeah. 250 million people are following her. I think that probably does make a difference. And so if you take the view that this is an election, let's say the polls are right, and it is kind of neck and neck, and it's too close to call, and it's going to go down to the wire, and it's all on a knife edge, and every other cliche you've ever heard used to describe a tight election. If the polls are right, then it is a question of a few thousand votes here and a few thousand votes there, and getting out the vote and mobilising people and getting people to register is a vital part of that. Much more than the messaging, much more than the celebrity endorsements.
It could be down to Taylor.
And there, I think Taylor Swift probably has made a difference.
Well, you and I are going to be co-presenting the election night programme next Wednesday. Tuesday, you can get the day right, Sheila. 10 o'clock till 5 a.m. on Tuesday of next week. When do you head off to?
I'm going out on Friday to the States, and it'll be a final weekend, and probably going to Pennsylvania, and I'll hook up with all the people I kind of used to work with and try and figure out what on earth is going on. I mean, I spoke to someone very well connected, and I said, you're going to be around. It would be nice to see you before Tuesday. She said, do you think we're going to get a result on Tuesday? You've got to be joking. This could go on for days.
Lord.
So it's going to be a long one.
It won't be hanging chads, will it?
No. Well, it'll be something.
It'll be something.
Yeah, unless the polls are wrong. Unless the polls are massively wrong.
And there's a decisive
victory for one or either side. I think this gets contested.
Great. John, look forward to it very much. Thanks very much indeed for coming in today. Jon Sopel, co-presenter of the News Agents and the News Agents USA.